Welcome to It Doesn't Take a Genius.
Well, welcome back to It Doesn't Take a Genius. This is the podcast where we turn business trends and research and theory into practical applications that you can apply at work. And I would add to that list our personal experiences, Mike and I. My name is Mark. I'm flying solo today. I have been traveling all over the eastern seaboard from New Jersey to Florida, working with a client. This client happens to really enjoy having us wear sport coats and t-shirts. And when I was in Florida, I really felt like, I'm Sonny Crockett. It was kind of a good feeling. If you don't know who Sonny Crockett is, welcome to our Old Man podcast. Anyway, I am flying solo today, but we've got a topic that's really critical for anyone managing a team in service industries, luxury businesses, hospitality, any industry where you're dealing with high-end clients. And it comes to us from a general manager who is new to a tourist-heavy area. And he noticed something about his staff, that they are struggling when serving luxury clients. And he wonders if it has something to do with the fact that they're all from a tourist area and they're used to seeing these high flyers. But the general idea is that they seem to have a chip on their shoulder, these employees. They come across as resentful. Some of them act maybe overly deferential, a little fawning, a little bootlicking. And the thing is that both of those scenarios, either the chip on their shoulder or the bootlicking, really does not help the customer experience, really doesn't help employee engagement. So I want to talk to you today about what's driving those behaviors and what a manager can do to fix it. All right, so let's dive in. At the core, I think that this behavior comes down to insecurity. When an employee faces somebody who's high net worth, high status, especially those that are not kind, maybe short on patience because they're short on time, for instance, it can kind of spark a question deep within you, and it's not something that usually comes to the surface, but it's sort of subconscious. And the question is this: what's my worth compared to this person? If you are dealing with a high-end client who's a little persnickety and your self-worth is a little bit shaky, it shows up in how you react and how you interact. So let's break down what this looks like in practice with some specific behaviors, okay, to make this really crystal clear. So let's start with this chip on the shoulder guy. He's a little defensive, he's a little resentful. Imagine a server at a luxury hotel responding to a wealthy guest's request for extra amenities, like a specific drink or something. And they just do it with a very curt, I'll see what I can do, and maybe even delay fulfilling the order, right? Just a little bit of like, this guy's entitled. I'm not going to break my back for this guy. How about a waiter who's feeling belittled by a condescending client and he just mutters a comment under his breath, only the best for you, which, the guest might actually even overhear, right? Sours the whole interaction. Maybe a concierge avoiding eye contact with a flashy high status client, giving very short responses, disengages quickly, just sort of projects, hostility, indifference. Maybe there's a complaint. I actually saw this happen today in a business, and a client complained about a delay. It was a minor delay, but it was a delay, and the employee snapped back really defensively. We're doing our best. That's right. Or you've seen it where they've blamed somebody else in the organization, right? Just escalating the tension. And you can see this even after the client leaves. You just sort of get the vibe that we don't really think that highly of these high net worth individuals. because you'll see them, the employees roll their eyes, or maybe even gossip to their colleagues, mocking the client's behavior, the client's wealth, just sort of creating bad vibes all the way around. And just so we're clear, I'm going to talk about the other side of this coin too, because what I'm not saying is don't do that. Instead, be completely deferential. No, you can be overly deferential. You can be fawning, right? Imagine at a hotel a front desk clerk apologizing, just over the top excessively for a brief delay during check-in. I'm so sorry. This is all my fault, right? Even when it's not, right? And it comes across as insecure right from the get-go. Maybe it's a server with a high-status client, just sort of with forced flattery. You just have the best tastes. Everything you say is so good. Again, it looks insecure, looks desperate. Imagine at a hotel a bellhop dropping all other tasks to fulfill some unreasonable client request. Rearranging something in the room or something like that, and neglecting other guests as a result. I heard about this happening one time. A spa attendant constantly asking a client, "Is this okay? Is everything okay? Are you sure it's perfect?" It sort of comes across as, please validate me, please validate me. A little clingy. Or maybe it's a retail associate at some kind of boutique just hovering over a wealthy shopper, agreeing with every comment, offering unsolicited suggestions, compromising their own professionalism, really, right? I've seen it happen this way accidentally while the client's on the phone, right? Coming over and accidentally interrupting a phone call because they were so interested in injecting themselves into the situation and making sure their worth was validated. So anyway, the point being, these behaviors, whether they're the defensive behaviors or the fawning behaviors, they stem from employees feeling their worth is tied to an external factor. That's the issue here, right? I need the client's approval. I need to validate my own status compared to you. That's all external stuff, right? And contrast that with a high self-worth service, something that would look completely the opposite of both of those scenarios. Picture a server facing that same rude, demanding guest, right? They stay calm, professional, never let their language slip. They appear confident, right, in their body language and the tone of voice. They genuinely smile and handle the request, not because they're groveling, right? Not because they're bootlicking. Just they know their value as a professional. They know their worth. They know what they can bring to the table and that it's a good thing. Part of that is just they don't take the client's attitude personally, right? And that's a little bit of what we're aiming for here. So how do you get there, right? I think one of the best examples we've talked about many times on the podcast is Horst Schulze, I guess you could call him the co-founder of Ritz-Carlton when the organization really started in the 80s, starting these luxury hotels. I think he opened up the first 30 or so hotels himself and did the training orientations. And I've heard him say in interviews that their success really just hinged on teaching employees to see themselves as ladies and gentlemen. Only when they saw themselves as ladies and gentlemen could they then go effectively serve ladies and gentlemen, right? That's the idea. That's a mindset shift rooted in dignity. Dignity comes from an ancient word meaning worth, right? Dignity is worth. We've talked about Donna Hicks, Dr. Donna Hicks, who wrote a book, Leading with Dignity, a couple other books as well. She was involved in a series of peace processes across the globe after armed conflict. And she just started noticing that you couldn't get anywhere until you addressed the fact that people's dignity had been violated, whether it was some awful wartime atrocity or something else. Like, you had to deal with that pain of someone's worth being attacked, their self-worth being attacked, before you could have any discussion around reparations or what have you. And so think about that here, right? Dignity is about recognizing inherent value, right? It's not what you do or earn, right? It was just that you have value in and of itself. And so when employees embrace that, they stop comparing themselves to the high roller at table 5, right? They serve with confidence because their worth isn't up for debate, right? There's nothing at risk here in terms of their worth. Now, this is not a religion podcast, okay? So, I understand that what I'm about to say is a little left field, but I'm going to touch on something that we see in really powerhouse service organizations like Ritz-Carlton. Horst Schulze definitely had a Christian faith, and Chick-fil-A has made no bones about their Christian faith at the leadership level. Their perspective, rooted in those Christian values, has something to say about worth. Genesis talks about right at the beginning that God created us in His image. In His image He created them, male and female He created them. So you reflect God's very image in your personhood, in your humanity. And going to the New Testament, in Romans, Paul says that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us, right? So you didn't earn it, but how much are you worth? You're literally worth the price of God's Son, right? Okay, sermon over, right? It's just a perspective rooted in Christian values that says your worth comes from, being made in God's image and the fact that God was willing to die for you. But my point is, it's not from what you achieve or how others treat you, right? That's a pretty solid anchor. Whatever your beliefs, you're going to have to find some way of a definition of intrinsic self-worth, right? Maybe it's your integrity, your creativity, your ability to brighten someone's day, whatever that is, right? So now we got to talk about how we can foster that, right? So managers, I want to speak directly to you about how you can help your team build this kind of self-worth. And I'm just going to scattershot a lot of ideas, some of them inspired by Ritz-Carlton and Chick-fil-A. But this is just a variety of things that can foster dignity and confidence in your staff. Train on it, right? Horst Schulze did this. He would tell his staff, "You're ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen." So maybe you need a workshop to sort of explain a framework such as ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen, or Donna Hicks's dignity model, just helping employees identify some inherent strengths, like maybe it's compassion, maybe it's professionalism, that go beyond just the performance on the job, right? Model it. Model respectful behavior. Treat your team as valued professionals. Use their names. Listen actively. Avoid any dismissive language or body language to show that they are ladies and gentlemen in your eyes. Encourage them to do some reflection themselves. That might be journaling. It might be small group discussions. It might be asking them to periodically have conversations with peers over lunch about what has made them feel valuable, maybe a proud work moment that really reflected who they are on the inside, a personal quality. Recognize some of those things publicly, right? You have to be careful here because some people, it's a very private matter, but highlight great service in meetings, right? Praise a server who handled a tough client with a lot of poise. Tying it to that professionalism and that value. And sort of related to the idea of them having conversations and meeting about it, foster that mutual respect, right? Promote team building exercises, right, that emphasize collaboration. Reinforce that every role matters to the organization's success, right? We need everybody in every role. You can certainly offer personalized coaching, right? One-on-one check-ins that you do with your team. I hope you do that anyway. You might, even use role playing in those moments for helping them learn to stand up into certain situations that you know they're struggling with a particular kind of client, for instance. Give them some empowerment, right? Nothing says you're valuable like I trust you to make decisions. So give them some autonomy to handle client situations. Offering a small gesture to a demanding guest, giving them the ability to just do that themselves without having to check in with anybody. Pretty cool moment. Peer mentorship, right? Maybe it's not one-on-ones with you, but it's conversations with seasoned staff members who get it. Celebrate non-performance qualities. Mike is fond of saying there's recognition, but there's also appreciation, right? We recognize that you did something awesome. We appreciate just the fact of who you are. So figuring out a way to acknowledge those traits is a big deal. Provide growth resources, right? Maybe it is Donna Hicks's book, Leading with Dignity. Might be a good one. The Go-Giver is another great one. And create a safe environment for mistakes, right? You got to make it safe. You can't fly off the handle if something goes wrong. You've got to treat that person with dignity yourself, right? So these are just steps that help employees shift from, sort of these chip on the shoulder or fawning behaviors to a place of confidence. Confident because they know their self-worth, they know their dignity. And when your team knows their worth, they'll deliver a better service, even exceptional service. And people won't be able to put their finger on it. They'll just know something's different, right? Even those toughest clients. And everybody has a better workplace as a result. So that is it for today's episode. I hope you were able to help yourself to not be defensive and not be fawning, but instead be confident because of your self-worth. And I hope that if you have employees, that you're helping them do the same. So if you're dealing with this challenge or have a story about building confidence in your team, we would love to hear from you. Drop a comment on YouTube or on the podcasting platform of your choice. Please like and subscribe. We would love to hear from you. This is Mark signing off from It Doesn't Take a Genius, and we'll see you next time.
And that's a wrap. The musings of Mark and Mike. No rights reserved, etc. Feel free to share and discuss what you heard today. Even claim the ideas as your own. Who'd want to do that? See you next time on It Doesn't Take a Genius. Thanks.
That's good enough.